Good morning and welcome to the channel. We're back with another episode. In today's episode, we are going to try and fix this gap in our vinyl tongue and groove flooring. And usually it's a result of how thick the flooring is itself. This stuff might be 3/16 thick. The tongue and groove locking mechanism with this cheaper product is so brittle that upon installation, that tongue typically can break off and snap pretty easy. Even if the installation is perfect, if the substrate isn't perfectly straight, there can be some flex within that tongue and groove system as you step on it and wear and tear of a floor. And it can also damage that tongue and groove locking mechanism that's supposed to keep the floor tight. This is the gap here. I would say it's about 1/8 of an inch wide. Our other seams are quite tight. There's a couple spots I'm noticing that I'm closer to the floor that's not quite tight. I'm not sure if that's just because it is a cheaper product, but it's not going to be our concern right now. What we are going to focus on is trying to fix this with a solution that I haven't used before, but because this is my own house, I am going to test it, because if it works, that'd be great for future endeavors. Because this is a common problem with cheap vinyl floor. The tongue and groove systems don't always lock perfectly, and if they aren't perfect, they'll come apart. So I'm going to be using a 2-part glue. This is miter bond, or instant bond I should say. There's a few different products like this you can use. You basically have the adhesive, and then you have the activator or accelerator. Different brands use different terminology. Basically you apply the adhesive, and if you want a quick instant bond, you spray the accelerator onto it. So I'm going to clean this joint out first and foremost because I don't want any debris caught in there. I have my OLFA blade, which you can snap off to make the point sharper and the edge sharper as well. So I'm going to break this off carefully because they can fly and hit your eye. Like that. And then this gap here, I'm not sure if the camera will be able to pick up on it or not, as it's quite small. But I'm going to be very careful in trying to clean this gap out. I'm just running my blade in the groove, riding it against the edge of the floor. I actually think that has it cleaned right there. I'm gonna vacuum it out so there's no dust in it. Next is to prep this joint to get it ready. I have about maybe 20 seconds of working time if I don't use the activator with this glue. If I do use the activator or accelerator, it goes down to about 2 or 3 seconds, so a lot less. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tape here. Oh, that should be fine. Ran out of tape. Like that. I am using a painter's tape because it will come off the flooring easily. If you use something else, you might just have more difficult time getting it off. I'm going to go right over top of that seam. Like that. Don't have to go too crazy. And now with this gap here, I'm gonna actually cut, try and get you a better angle. And again, I can kind of ride that edge. And I'm cutting out the groove portion of this floor so I can squeeze glue into it. And I'm only taping it to make it a bit of a cleaner process. Now I like how that came out, but my 1/8 inch piece of tape is caught in there. There we go. Try and pull that out. And again, you really want to make sure you don't have any debris in this gap, because then it won't close tightly. Protect this a little bit. I don't want any squeeze out if I can help it, so I'm just putting down some extra tape. And now what I'm going to do is use a block of wood. I'm going to use my instant adhesive. I'm going to glue the back side of it. Shouldn't have to be too much. I should have actually done it on the tape, but I'm going to use my activator as well. I'm going to glue this onto my tape. Hold it down for a few seconds. Tighten that up. And that's locked in fairly well. And now what I should be able to do is just tap this with the hammer and that should go. So as I tap it, you can see that it is gonna move. I'm gonna tap it a little closer so I don't have as much squeeze out here. I don't wanna fill this whole joint with glue, it's not really necessary. So I'm gonna get my piece a little closer. Something like that. I do have a rag on standby to wipe out any squeeze out. Okay, that should be exactly what I want. So I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze this glue in. Just gonna squeeze that into there. And this stuff is quite fluid, so it should just sink into that gap. Now I'm not gonna actually use the activator, I'm just gonna tap it tight. And because it's gonna be tight, it will dry fairly well, I think. So now I just tap it over. And that's tight there. I'll wipe off the excess carefully. And then try not to get this stuff on your fingers because it will stick like nobody's business. Oopsie, my tape is already adhered. Have to clean that up after the fact. I want one more tap, but my block, or the tape actually came off of my block, so I'm gonna try to do that really quick. Because I do want to try and get one more tap in there. I should have about 10 more seconds left on that glue before it adheres. Okay, I got it. I think I got it there. You can see some of the tape residues left behind. And peel that off. I do have some rubbing alcohol on standby just to clean up that joint right away. Wipe that down. All right, this seam is tight now. Tap this block off. You can see that the instant glue only adheres to the tape, which is why I put it down, obviously. I'll give you a bit of a closer look here. I was gonna say a little bit of the tape actually didn't come up that well, but I'm able to just peel it off with my fingernails, so. Taking a little bit of a closer look, you can see that this seam is tight now, or at least as tight as the other seams. So I think it worked out pretty good. That's gonna do it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. Again, if you do choose to use this method in your own home, I would, again, just stress the point of keeping that, or cleaning out that joint free of debris, vacuuming it out, because if there's anything keeping that joint from closing fully, the gap's gonna be there after you apply the glue and you'll get frustrated. So just make sure that that joint is clean. Again, if there's any flex underneath from the subfloor itself, there's not much you can do about that other than replacing the floor and fixing that issue. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.